our Check and Chat today is with Ariane Virtue, who is partner and co-founder at Flex We Are, which is one of Australia's leading flexible workplace consultancies. The Nectar connection with Ariane, I had the pleasure of meeting Ariane after she spoke for us at the PCOA 2019 conference. So I'm really excited to talk to you today, Ariane, because honestly, yeah, how do you feel about how COVID-19 has brought about this, I guess, worldwide test case for flexible and remote working? And are you having an absolute I told you so moment right now?
Well, thank you so much, Tiffany. It's fantastic to talk to you. I think I'll start with, we're devastated it's taken a pandemic for organisations to actually understand the need and the benefits of flexible working. So this isn't business as usual. This is business as completely unusual because we've never faced anything like this. And it's the largest remote working experiment globally. So we've kind of explained it and discussed it with clients, and we're doing a lot of partnering with clients, as you can imagine, particularly over the last, I would say 6 weeks, but we had some clients that probably had the foresight to have some training around, if we were all to work remotely, what would that look like and how could you assist us? So we've sort of said, it's gone from flexible working where some organisations and some industries were doing it incredibly well. There was pockets of the organisation, what we used to call leader lottery. It's then moved into this absolutely enforced, inflexible remote working from your house. And overlaying that with all the stresses that are outlaid by the virus, suddenly you've all become headmistresses and headmasters. You're managing elderly parents and everyone. It's not a one size fits all. So organisations that are supporting their teams by, really understanding what's the best technology, how do we use it, how do we make sure that there is a level of trust and understanding and support. The wonderful thing that we've seen come out of it is a lot of kindness, a lot of empathy, and really building on this trust, because suddenly we've been asked for everyone that we work with and clients and suppliers to come into our homes, and it's really, as our tagline says, we've really humanised work. So through flexible working. So how we're working with some clients now is very much around supporting them to coach, train, upskill from executive teams, leaders and employees around how do they work under this environment.
So you must be finding that it's a multi-layered approach, and people are suddenly understanding that working from home is not as simple, that there's so many considerations. And I guess on that note, what's the most interesting observation that you've had? I mean, have you been surprised by how easily some people have adapted or not?
I think it's company dependent. It's obviously industry and role dependent as well. We've been working with an investment management company who there was absolutely no flexible working, and the MD is the first to admit that. He'd already engaged us in January to start working with him. And without being prompted by us, he came out to introduce us for our first training, and he said, there's four things that I want you to think about before we start this training. And it is that number one is you and your wellness. Number two is family. And number three is your customers. And number four is the organisation and your role. So how can I as an MD support you to make sure that you've got the tools to still be effective and productive in this way of working? So I think it's an opportunity for organisations to think, how can we work differently? I think the way that we previously worked, particularly talking from an office-based corporate environment, will forever change, because we're calling it physical distancing. It has to be around that. Yes, we're physically distancing, but you've got to be more social and socially connected than ever.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing that we've been training and talking to leaders. I think with leaders, they're finding, because they're also managing their own stresses and own anxiousness, that they still need to be there for their teams and for their, absolutely for their employees. And so what we're seeing is what's got out the window is that training, development, all the wonderful conferences and being able to be part of that sort of learning and development. And I think we'll see a shift that people are starting to say, we still need to worry about this and worry about this side of people's engagement.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose out of all of this, for your business, you've suddenly gone from perhaps having to convince people that they need to think about remote working to actually, well, we've already decided we're going to do it, but how we're going to do it. So for you, that must be almost like you just leapt through your business plan.
What our business plan looked in December 2019, it looks very different today, being May 2020. So yes, and I probably think everyone's a bit sick of this word. We did have to pivot, but we pivoted in such a way that, it is very much around, we don't have to convince anymore, but I think we're going to have a situation where there'll be organisations that will understand now the benefits of it. They'll understand that this will go on for a long period of time. So we're working with clients around that sort of transition phase and then what that future workforce and workplace will look like, and making sure that they actually have some type of contingency plan in place, because none of us had the luxury of thinking of something of this enormity was going to happen to us across all industries. And really thinking, look, we're really hopeful at the end of this that organisations do think differently, and the way they hire, the way they work, and really have an appreciation that flexible working, as long as it's, as we always say, and this, we know what best practice is, but it has to be best fit for the organisations. And we're just hoping with our whole hearts that they actually understand that people are actually more productive, effective and efficient if they are allowed some form of flexible working. But we're just not hoping that organisations, and there will be some out there, that are just going to monitor and measure, flexible working didn't work under that enforced flexible working at home. So, fingers crossed we have an opportunity to be able to spread the word that this is not flexible working. It's so enforced inflexible.
Yeah, so everyone who's watching, look up Ariane on LinkedIn and start following her, because she has some really good tips. And I guess on that note, Ariane, thank you so much for sharing your insights. It's been really good to catch up with you. I always enjoy our chats.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see you properly face to face. It'll be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Bye.